Peace, everyone. How's everyone doing? It's nice to see the familiar names and faces. It's good to be back. Welcome to another weekly sermon where we are going to discuss a usual topic that I picked beforehand. Today's topic is about the constant test. Not like we're always under a test, but we're always being tested in our faith. So this is what we're going to be discussing today. But before that, I do want to extend my salutes to everybody. And please let me know, how's it sound? How's it look? Peace. My favorite sister, JS. How you doing? My favorite sister, Mariam. How you doing? My favorite brother, Nasu. Kali Veli. Assalamu alaikum. Could I ever have? I do host streams every once in a while in regards to like an open microphone. It's supposed to be a debate, but people come also discuss all sorts of things. Maybe sometime when if you keep your eyes open to the channel, if you subscribe to the channel and you follow, you'll see when these sessions are open. Right now, obviously, YouTube is not going to really promote my channel because I haven't been putting a lot of content out, and usually that's how it happens here. So it's nice to see you, Munshi, Stephen, Hamza, brother. It's nice to see you as well. I miss you too, man. Thank you, Yusuf. Appreciate it. Peace, Akib. Sure, Looney. What's up, brother? Brother Mahdi. Salam, brother. It's nice to see you again. Thank you. Well, I do want to give a few things, a few updates. Oh, man, Brother Hamza. Thank you, man. Really appreciate it. Thank you for supporting the effort. Thank you for supporting what I'm trying to accomplish in regards to why I do these streams, in regards to why I try to push for this community. And in regards to what is currently occurring, I do have an update on that situation. GoFundMe is a piece of poop company. That's the bottom line. So I did run a donation stream about a week and a half ago, not too long ago, sometime last week. And we've raised the funds in about 12 hours. I put a goal in regards to, one second, I'm just going to pull it up here. So we didn't have an amazing, don't look at them. They're still idiots. They still have it up. But, well, maybe they didn't get the message yet. But anyways, let me share the screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. It's a little actually disheartening, but that's fine. We can just keep pushing in a different way. So I did create a drive last week, and I put a goal of 10,000 Canadian dollars. We've reached it in less than 12 hours with this amazing community that we have. But unfortunately, GoFundMe will not release the money, and they will refund everybody because, just quite frankly, they decide whom is allowed to get money and who isn't, and how a charity should run. We did have to go back and forth. They send you an email, and then they go sleep for 2 days or 1 or 2 days, and then they respond to you. I had a few discussions last week after the drive met its goal, and I was waiting for the money to get transferred to my account. And what ended up happening was something that's really stupid, is that they had to push it to their risk management team, and their risk management team said that this is a no-go because they don't allow cash distribution. Yet cash distribution is literally what charity is. So they didn't want to release the funds. They said, if there's a charity that I'm willing to just pass the money to the charity, they will do that, but they will not release the fund to me. So I said, you know what, just refund everybody their money. I apologize, everybody. I did pick a company that ended up being a piece of poop. It was just literally a garbage operation. So they did not accept our drive. They did not want to see it done. And unfortunately, right now, what we have to do is either restart the donation, or I might find a different way for me to strive in regards to this matter. I am a little upset in the way that this came up, but this gives us a very good leeway or a segue into today's discussion. And today's discussion is in regards to one verse that I have in mind. So before we do that, peace and blessings, everybody. Welcome to our weekly sermon. I understand that there are some weeks that have been missing. Certain situations have occurred where it would have been very difficult, actually impossible in that situation for me to create a stream. Behind me is the beautiful landscape of Beirut, northern Beirut right now, close to where there was an explosion a few years ago, and you can see there's still some recovery. The port still in the same situation. Unfortunately, that was a very difficult situation back then. And it seems like things have been tumbling downhill ever since in Lebanon. I am spending the time here trying to see if I can be of any assistance in regards to the war against the Zionist cancer that has infiltrated the Middle East. This infiltration has been going on for the last 100 years or so, and it has been extremely devastating and destructive to all the countries around said region, which after they occupied Palestine, they did their best because of how small and tiny-minded they are, and such a small faction, just so that they would go corrupt and cause discord, so people would fight each other and sit there and have these oppressive government instead of oppressive government systems and agencies, instead of focusing on the actual enemy, which is the Zionist state. And with that said, in the name of God, the merciful, the gracious, I do seek refuge to my Lord from the accursed devil. Today's discussion is in regards to one of the verses that is in chapter 47, I believe, Muhammad. And the verse that we will be discussing today is God is saying, and we will shortly test you, and we will test you until we know the strivers among you, as well as those who are patient, and we will test your reports, or we will test وَنَبْلُ أَخْبَارَكُمْ, and we will test your events or news and reports. Now, the concept of being tested is something that is always repeated in the Quran. As in chapter 29, God says that, did you think that you're going to say that you believe and not be tested? And now God in this verse is telling you on how he does test you. He tests you in things, he does test you in events and things where you either have to keep pushing as hard as you can with what you have been given, with the support that you have around you, with the trust in God that you do not know the outcome, you do not know the unseen, you do not know how the event will unravel, but you have the positive mindset, you have the positive outlook, and you just keep pushing with God. And when you aren't striving with yourselves or with your intellect or with what you think that you can accomplish in the name of God, you also have to remember that on the other side, the enemy is going to try to block you, that he's going to set up these hurdles and things that kind of hurt you, or maybe just slow you down. But that's not the reason for you to start to break down and start to feel depressed in regards to whatever is occurring, because you think that maybe whatever is happening to you in your path, where there is a hurdle or a stop or a quick pause, that you might think that God is actually testing you. But that also goes back to chapter 29, where God states that some of the people say that we believe in God, and when they are striving in God and they are tested or hurt in the striving of God, they make the test of people or the test of others as if it's the punishment of God. And if victory comes from your Lord, then they'll say that, oh, we were with you. But God truly knows what's inside their hearts or their minds. Those people, unfortunately, they associate the blocking or the hurt that other people and other entities do when you are striving in the way of God, as if that's God's punishing them. If you ever expected that your religion or your life is going to be a walk in the park, which sometimes it does feel that way, then, and if that's how you're going to measure your relationship with God, that, oh, things are not going very well right now, so maybe God is upset with me. Well, then I would like to remind you of the story of Prophet Job. When he was when he was tested by the devil, he was tested by the devil, and the devil sat and made his mind, he hurt his mind, and he gave him a lot of pain along with a lot of fatigue. But Job associated that to Prophet Job, associated that to the devil, and he didn't say that it was God's punishment. But a lot of people in those situations, when they are tested by other entities, they believe that it's God's punishment, and then it leads them to giving up, or it leads them to depression, thinking that God doesn't love them. But this is truly the test of your religion, where God is putting you and allowing a situation to, God is allowing you to go into a situation where you do get tested. Do you really believe in God in a way that is of a positive manner? Do you really believe and full-heartedly understand that the day of judgment is coming? And therefore, whatever you're going through, even if it's 20 years, it's going to feel like 5 minutes in the end. It's going to feel like 10 minutes in the end. So whatever things that you have to endure is just some patience that you need to understand, or you need to strive with and understand. That patience is something that is extremely important to have, because some people are forced to be patient. How is that a forced patience? You're sitting in a jail cell, for example, or you're waiting for your plane in the airport and it's late, or you're waiting for your friend and your friend didn't show up. There's nothing that you can do because it's outside of your control, and you just have to wait. But in those moments of waiting, how is your attitude? How is your attitude with God, with the people around you in the situation? Are you sitting constantly complaining that you have to sit there and wait? That are you so in a rush and you're so important that you, in a situation where it's outside of your control, you want to dictate it and take control and start talking to people harshly, all in while stressing yourself and bringing yourself down because of these negative thoughts that you constantly put in your head just because you can't be patient. Now, this is where we would go to chapter 12, when Jacob, when he was tested twice, where he had to be patient because he had no choice except to wait. Prophet Jacob would say, "Fasabrun jameel," which means like a beautiful patience. So he is going to have to wait, but he's going to wait in a way that is very pleasing, A, to our Lord, and B, to the people around. Because we're going to wait. That's the disbeliever, and that's the believer. But patience really comes into the picture when you are positively patiently waiting. Why? Because it's in God's hands. God is going to open the gate, and God is going to humiliate the disbeliever. God is going to allow you to go over this hurdle. But in the meantime, while God is either humiliating someone else or giving some time for something to occur for you to start going through your path, he's expecting you to wait for God's command, for God's decree, for God to do what God wants to do. Because you have to understand that sometimes you need to be tested in certain things where it is negative what's occurring to you, that you are going to be tested with some fear, you are going to be tested with the loss of money, the loss of resources, the loss of people, and at the same time, you could become a test for the disbeliever. How so? Well, picture that you're walking down the street and there's a man walking against you, he's walking in front of you. But that man is a very evil, wretched, dark-hearted person. That person, by God's decree on the day of judgment, is actually going to hell. But how is that man going to hell if he's not doing actions that are worthy of such hell? So God allows you to be in a position where that person transgresses against you, God fully aware that he knows what you're capable of withstanding. You might not recognize it yourself, but your Lord is very aware of you. So he allows for the other person to transgress, but God did not order the other person to transgress. He's just allowing it, giving the permission. So that on the day of judgment, there is enough excuses and enough witnesses and enough events for that dark-hearted, evil, wretched person that does not consider the day of judgment, that does not consider God, to be put in hell. Because it wouldn't have been very fair if God created people and God knowing all, he goes, "Oh, well, you're going to hell and you're going to heaven because I know what's inside you." People want to witness why they're going to heaven, and they want to witness why they're going to hell. So you could be put into situations where, thanks, Brother Sam. Yes, I am still alive. SubhanAllah. Um, um, so you can be put into situations where God is using you as a means for that person to witness against himself on why he's such an evil and wretched person. So a lot of the striving and a lot of the expectations of God from us is, other than the prayer, is to also be patient, because those are the two things that we rely as tools in our day-to-day life. We are told to practice patience and to practice the prayer, because within your prayer, as you are concentrating in the Quran, you're concentrating on what God is telling you, and you're reviewing yourself and reviewing the situations that's occurring, you are also practicing the patience. And patience does not only mean waiting nicely. It's I am holding onto a rope and my enemy is holding onto a strand or a fiber, but I'm going to hold really hard compared to how strong this person is. And me being so aware of God's religion and what God has taught me, and the certainty that God has placed in my heart within the religion that he has chosen upon the humanity, I know that when I'm going to hold this rope, that this rope will never break, because this is the rope that God has given us and God will never fail. Meanwhile, I understand that if there are any enemies or anybody in front of me that is holding to a strand or a rope or a name or something that does not represent strand, holding on to a strand or a fiber that does not represent God or what God has ordered for mankind, I know that rope that he's holding on is going to break. So I'm going to be patient and I'm going to endure and I'm going to sit there and withstand on this word that God has given me, which is sabr. It's going to be as steadfast as I can to whatever is ongoing. Because when God is creating you in his religion, when he's teaching you, when he is expanding your chest to the religion which we call Islam or submission to God, he's going to make you the best version of yourself as long as you're putting the work in. And the human being, he does not like to be dominated, but rather he likes to dominate. He likes to show that he is someone who is capable of being spread, whether it's in money, whether it's in kids, whether it's in intelligence, whether it's in whatever path that the human wants to take. The people who are successful, as God says in the word yaflahun in the Quran, it's almost like farmers. It's very close to the word of farming, where you do spread and you are able to influence the people around you. But you cannot influence with a weak heart. You can't influence being timid and shy. You can't influence by any time you confronted, you fall, because the devil's always trying to confront you. But as God says, the plan of the devil is indeed weak. So fight in the way of God. Right. The word fight is something that people don't like to hear, because a lot of people are very happy to perform their prayer, to give from what they've been given, to be good people, and just to go through life. And when there is a little bit of confrontation, God will deal with it and I'll walk away. But unfortunately, if you're going to have to fold every time you are expected to stand up for somebody or something, or expected to support God and his messengers in certain times, then at that point, we're going to fail very quickly, because the believers in this world, we're a minority and will always become a minority. Even if it's a community where you see a lot of people accepting the truth, but they themselves will not be actually applying said truth, but they will recognize the truth and they will be happy to be part of the group. But within the group of believers, it's still a minority of those that are actually having a relationship with God. And by God's grace, a lot of people around me, especially in the people that I talk to, um, the people that I talk to are representing that part of the community from what I have observed. Now, these tests that are constantly thrown at you is just because you have to understand there's wisdom behind it. It's not just a test for you to become better, which, yes, that is part of it. But there are also things that are occurring in the background where God is using you as a tool in those moments, whether, as I said, and I gave many examples earlier, but at the same time, God is using you in a way so that you can become that positive energy in the future or in a short time. So we recently did this donation where the people blocked us from allowing us to distribute this money. I could be one of those superstitious people and say like, hey, this is a sign from God for us to not do this. But this is when you start to go through negative thoughts. This is when you failed truly in your religion in that moment. I'm not saying you're a failure. I'm just saying you failed in those moments to recognize that it was not what God has ordered. In fact, God has ordered bil ma'ruf, into the things that are apparent and the things that are good, and to help one another. So the enemies in this point, which was the GoFundMe, and of course they did something that an enemy would do. They blocked the path of where the money needed to go. to charity services and charity events so that people would have it easier in this difficult times. But a lot of people, unfortunately, I meet, when things do occur, they do not remember the verses of God and they don't judge the event with the verses of God. Yes, everything is from God, but God has ordered many people to do many things, they just don't do them. And when you recognize that the other side is not doing what God has ordered, then at that point, it isn't from God. It's allowed by God. God gave the permission for it to occur, but this was not God's will. Because God's will is for us to strive in his way with ourselves and with our monies. But within said striving, we are constantly tested at every point of the path. But as long as you're keeping your heart with God, as long as you're keeping yourself dedicated in that moment for your Lord, what ends up occurring is that you find yourself in a warrior-like mentality, even if it's a peaceful pursuit in trying to achieve your goal, where no one is capable of breaking that mindset. Because when you're answering the person, or you're answering the situation, you're not the one answering. It's God and what the messenger told you, what God and his messenger told you, which is clearly detailed in the Quran. So when you're facing certain situations where you are having a kickback, or you're facing people trying to block your path, you just remember the verses and you start applying them by the words as you're threatening the people in front of you, by reminding them that there's a day of judgment, that there's a time where you're going to be held accountable for stopping for what God has ordered you to do. And of course, this is very, very present in regards to people who want to fight the devil when the devil wants to get physical. But with that said, that requires a lot of training, the physical fighting, but also the patience. The patience is something that you always need to practice at any moment that you've been given. If you are forced to sit in a room, you sit happily, patiently. Why? Because your Lord is with you. This is such a short moment. If you're faced into a place where things are delayed, this is another opportunity for you to be patient. Someone around you is being a weirdo, a fool. He's making a lot of noise. He's being very persistently annoying. At that moment, you start to endure and you practice patience because your Lord is with you. Yes, your heart might not like this behavior that the person is conducting himself in, but you don't make it an opportunity for you to transgress against the person, nor do you make it an opportunity for you to break your mentality in that day and time. And unfortunately, this even goes as far as believers saying things to other believers that might hurt the other believer. But you should never make it a reason for you to break that positive energy that you're constantly supposed to have. This positivity that is, your Lord is here, your Lord is a good Lord, and your Lord is not going to put you in a situation where you're going to fail. You might feel like it's a failure, but it's a win, because on the day of judgment, you were doing the right thing. Yes, us as believers, compared to these forces as against us, we don't have that many resources yet, and God can change the situation at any moment, at any instant. But we just have to endure with what we have been given right now and to be happy, because we have found the truth. And the truth is that this is such a temporary life. This is such a temporary situation. But the forever, where we get to build and have our things forever, we are being promised that, as long as we still endure and we practice our patience and we strive in the way of God. Now, there is another way for you to understand how striving works. Obviously, not everybody is ordered to leave their families and to go to places where, let's assume, there's war zones, or to go to a place where there is humane crisis, and for you to strive in that way. There's other ways of striving, which I consider it is as the people of the right within your community, within your families. But you have to recognize, you have to recognize the way that you're striving is not for this world. That whatever you're doing right now, it's for your hereafter. So you're always weighing things on, how is this benefiting me for the hereafter, or is this just benefiting me in the world right now? And be careful, because the devil is very good at decorating your deeds. That I'm doing this and it's going to be a positive for the hereafter, but I kind of have this wish, this desire of something right now. And as long as you're relying on your Lord, and as long as you're constantly reading the Quran, you have to be a fair judge to yourself. Because when people come to you and present to you, and I'm guilty of this, this is why I'm telling you this. When people come to me and present to me their situation, it's very easy for me to tell them what needs to be done. But I could be in the exact same situation, but yet it's very difficult for me to take the advice, because the advice is easy, but actually going through the work, that's the striving, that's the jihad. Everyone wants to be, I mean, like a lot of men want to be these warrior mentalities and strong people, but how many are putting the effort in? God doesn't want clowns. God doesn't want fools. God doesn't want comedians, despite me having to go into comedy and sometimes acting like a fool, is just so that I can get the crowd that wants to be a fool and likes comedy, so that they might come learn something really quick. But God wants us to be professional. God wants us to be efficient. God wants us to be disciplined. God wants us to be what people write self-help books for the last hundreds of years. Things that they've discovered through trial and error. You know what? If I have a certain discipline, if I wake up at the certain time, if I do things at the certain time, and I make this into a habit where now it's just like natural, instead of me having to think of it, I'm achieving a lot more than if I didn't. If I build something in a certain way and I use a certain standard and everybody's on the same standard, then I am capable of building faster. If I am talking to people in a certain way and I'm showing a lot of kindness and I'm not letting people upset me even though they're saying things, people are working with me and people are more than happy to be with me, compared to than if I was hard-hearted. Then if I'm going to become a criminal mind, I'm going to find a lot of people around me that are criminal-minded, like-minded people. So it's very clear on how God has created this world in front of us, and what works and what doesn't work is extremely evident. But these are things that are already outlined in the Quran. So how are you striving with yourselves? How are you showing your patience in what you're striving in? For example, you want to work on your body, you want to improve your health. Are you really? Are you putting the physical effort in, either going to the gym or having gym equipment at your home? Are you eating healthy? Are you looking at what you're eating at? Are you maintaining what you need to maintain so that your body is actually performing the way it is? How many times or how many days have it passed by since that you sat down and you studied something, not read something or watched a video? That everyone does that. That's just entertainment. Because you could say that, hey, I'm working on myself for the day, for my hereafter, but you just watched a documentary and you barely remember what the documentary said. You know why? Because God told you. He teaches you with the pen. What did you write down? What notes have you taken? What have you recorded for you to review later, for you to become a more sharp individual, a better human being, someone who is more professional in his approach to his own religion? Because the word religion is very clear. In Arabic, the word religion, deen, is law. What are the laws that has God guided you to, that you've applied in ways that is making you a better human being? And with that said, this brings us to the final point that I want to say, that brothers and sisters, yes, we have believed. Yes, we have believed that there is only one deity, one God, worthy of serving and worthy of worship and worthy of love and worthy of dedicating ourselves to. And the only way that we can prove that to ourselves is by our actions and not by our words. Words can become actions in a conversation. The way that we're dealing with people and the way that we're handling ourselves, that is an action. But to sit here and to promote ideas and to say things, but we don't go through with them, this is actually something that is very upsetting or hated by God. God says, oh, believers, do not say what you do not do. Do not preach what you do not practice. Yes, it's very easy to theorize what religion is, but what is your actual religion? Is your religion to sit around and talk about theology and what God likes and what God doesn't like, and then that's it? Then you go to sleep? Is that all that you do in your day work? Or is your religion to sit there and argue with people about the Quran, and then when that's done, you just watch shorts all day? Or you sit and watch what other people are saying on Twitter and stuff? Because yes, it's very easy to fall into a certain cycle when you go from a website to another website to another website. Nothing updated, nothing new really, except maybe 3-4 new posts, and then you start the loop again. And then you do that all day, and on the end of the day, you judge yourself. You say like, hey, I had a very boring day. I had a very non-productive day. And over time, that's going to depress you because you're not being productive. And the human being, just like the ant, just like the cat, just like the bee, just like the dolphin, just like the penguin, just like the bird, just like the fly, They're always doing something. They have to do something. They have to work. What creature sits around all day and just trolls his head around with ideas and do absolutely nothing? So what are you doing? What are you working on? What are you striving yourself in? It could be something that is within the arts, music, drawing, writing, all the all the arts and people, what people take as entertainment, but that can be dedicated to God, so that whoever's consuming such things that you are building, that they can have it. Or you can go into things of engineering and science discoveries and that world. And both sides, as you are doing that, whatever you decide, you do have to also take time in your day to practice your religion. It's not like you're going to have to schedule time to sit and practice your religion. You know why? Because you have your times of prayer. You have an hour, hour and a half in the morning, you have an hour, hour and a half in the afternoon, and you have your whole night to sit and really dedicate yourself to understanding on how you need to achieve better results for your hereafter during the daytime that God has given you, for you to do a better world for the people around you and for yourself. So ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I implore you to strive right now within yourself and within your community. Practice that patience and steadfast and endurance on what you want to achieve, and achieve it, because God has promised you the victory. If you're a believer, if you're truly a believer, no one around you is going to hurt you, and you have to recognize that everything around you other than your Lord is going to be broken, is going to be taken away from you, whether in death, whether in the end of the life of whatever you have, or just complete destruction. It's gonna go, but it doesn't mean you sit and do nothing. Plant that tree, help that person, feed those people, and be a good human being. And with that said, may God bless you. May God accept all your striving. May God help you in your striving. May God increase our patience, and may God make us a community that is truly sitting in the middle, a middle community, being fair to all the communities around us, despite some of them are extremely oppressive and some of them are extremely oppressed. Let us say the truth when the truth needs to be said, and may God help us recognize the truth and recognize the word of God, and become a very good, efficient, good community whose whole dedication is to live forever and to serve God forever. We have this short time to achieve it now by God's permission, by God's will. But may God put us in a garden where we get to truly worship and serve our Lord forever. And with that said, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And peace, brother. I'm just going to go through some comments. If some people have questions, I'll answer the questions. Kai K, it's nice to see you. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Alhamdulillah. What's your opinion on Billy Carson? He claiming most stories from the Quran come. I don't know who Billy Carson is. I don't know what the Emerald Tablets is. To me, it's regardless, because I see the truth in the Quran. For me, the Quran is explaining to me, one, the relationship of God. It's explaining to me the nature of God in the eyes of the human being. And then it's explaining to me the psychiatry of the human being. It's a way for you to understand your thoughts, to review your thinking process, and to fix it. As God says that the Quran is a healing to what's within the human being. And what it does to the disbeliever, it increases their diseases, or it increases their negative psychology. So the Quran, when you have to approach it, you have to approach it in a way of God is telling you how the human being thinks. This is how a believer should think, and this is how a disbeliever thinks. But because of the disbeliever's negative thinking, the results is they become deaf, dumb, and blind and stupid, while the believer, they become aware and they become scared of the king, like God, because everything else is under his control. So this moment of awareness is something that needs to be achieved mentally. And subhanAllah, alhamdulillah. All right. I'm going to go up the list, but Assalamu alaikum. Peace, brother Abdul Rahim. It's nice to see you. I apologize. There are a few Abdul Rahims. I'm not sure who you would be, but peace and thank you for coming by. Look at this guy. Did you hear anything? Did you consider anything that I said? Or would you like me to say Qala Rasul, the Prophet said this, the Prophet said that, Abu Hurairah said this, and Bukhari said this? Is that what you want to hear? Ah, people are funny, man. You don't even listen. Such a great reminders about God teaching us the pen. I have a convo with someone the other day, and this person had all these plans, goals, yet hadn't write anything down. SubhanAllah, writing is something that is very critical for us. God is telling us He taught us by the pen. Because one, it teaches the other people. I don't need to hear your tone. I don't need to have the emotional responses from how you could deliver your message in a way that is extremely emotional and get me uplifted and fired. Why? Because if I read it, it's detached. I can understand the feeling that you want to tell me by your words, and that should be sufficient. But the words, when God is telling us that He taught us by the pen, it literally does help you. When you write things down, you're capable of memorizing them for a longer time. You're capable of reviewing them later, because when I was 20 years old, closer to 20 years old, it was very easy to keep a lot of information in my mind. But as it's true, as you grow older, you need a lot of reminders, because then you start saying, well, back in my day, cool. You didn't change your name. Brother Turkey, of course, action speaks louder than words. All right, Muhammad, Asma. What's the significance of the Kaaba according to the Quran? Hindus and Christians like to say they worship the Kaaba. So what do you think about this? No, the Kaaba itself is a house that is dedicated for the people. It's not, it's a significant symbol, a right upon mankind, where this house is set up as a safe haven for the human being, as long as they believe in God, a single, unit, one God. Okay, you go to that house, you're capable of being fed by the people there that should be feeding you. You're capable of finding water, and you're capable of taking a break and dedicating yourself as a point of worship to God. Now, the house itself is not what people prostrate to. The house has nothing to do with the prostrations and the prayers that's going there. God did say to the people who are doing their prayers to face the sacred mosques. I take it as that is a point of worship, and if part of my prayer includes this worship, I will face the sacred mosque. I understand my good brother Baba Shuaiba, the correctional officer, has a different way of understanding those verses, which is very true, which is very applicable into the way he's understanding it. He's not believing that there's a physical connection in the way of the Qibla. I do see that there could be a physical connection, and I do uphold that. But if you take the Kaaba itself, that black house, if you remove it and you put it on the moon, okay, I will not face the moon. Okay, if you take the black house and you put it in Australia, I will not face Australia. I will still face that land where it was established for someone to build the house of God, for people to go and feel safe there. Now, one of the great signs of that city is it's completely surrounded by mountains. At every, it's like it's literally in a valley. So there's mountains on every end, which in a place where there is plate tectonic movements, there isn't that much occurring to where it can destroy that city. And it did keep it safe from people that had to go up these mountains to come find the city. And the only way that they had to go through was through valleys. So it was very segregated away from the rest of the world for a very long time, until people were now creating maps, and people accessing the city in different ways, and now we're capable of literally digging through the mountain by God's permission. The Kaaba itself's significance is a symbol to remind people that this is where the house of God is. Now, God calls himself the believer, okay? So how is God called the believer? Because if me and God made a covenant, a contract, I said that this is your world, but part of this, in this world, I'm going to make this border and I'm going to dedicate this to this thing that is supposed to serve you. God will believe it as long as you're believing it. And these laws and regulations that we set up, we're going to be questioned for. For example, I can go now buy a car, purchase a car, right? And say that this is God's car. God will believe it if I truly dedicated it. What does that mean? Now, this car that is God's car, it will always have the key inside. Anyone is more than welcome to come use the car for things that are pertaining to really what needs to be done. It's not supposed to be done for obscenities and immoralities, but you are also supposed to make sure that the wheels, after when you receive it, that the wheels are in good condition for the person next to you. You should always have the gas filled up when you're done. You should keep it clean. You should make sure that it's very good condition. And if it's having any problems, you should fix it. That's you and your dedication. If you can't do it, then you also have to have people that are constantly donating money so that this car can stay in operating form, right? If the car breaks, we will even replace the car and it'll still be God's car. Does God drive that car? No. Does God need a car? No. Does he even, like, he's the one who technically created the car, but us saying that it's God's car, that means it's for the whole world, for the whole people, as long as you believe God. So when the house was established, the Kaaba was established for God. It's a house for God, but it comes back to the human being because God doesn't live in a house. So that's the significance of the Kaaba. That's the significance on why you have to take food, sacrifice the food close to the Kaaba and feed the people around the Kaaba. That's why Hajj is 4 months. It's not 1 month. So four months of the year, people are constantly being fed in that city, and people can, now we have ways of actually preserving food for the whole month. There is a similar concept of a religion that did take its roots from Islam, which is the Sikh religion. The Sikh religion in India, they have something called the Golden Temple. The Golden Temple is another cube where people go to worship. They call him Wahid Guru, which is the one master, I believe. It is a monotheistic religion, but they have a kitchen there that feeds. Heard just another plane going by, really fast plane, but it feeds. That in the Golden Temple they feed thousands of people, and thousands, hundreds of thousands of meals a day. I think comes up. I'll just pull it up. Golden Temple kitchen facts. There you go. And for me, I find it very very weird that like Mecca isn't being treated like this. So the Golden Temple has the world's largest free kitchen or community kitchen, also known as langar, that serves 50,000 to 100,000 hot meals every day to hungry souls. So the Sikh community, which is a very small community in India, technically, it's a minority. It's a minority in the world. They're capable of having enough funds to feed these people, to make these meals daily. And it's not like really bad meals. It's actually like, it looks like really good meals. So this is what I believe. This is what I believe the Golden Temple is. And I'll show you the Golden Temple so you know what I'm talking about. It literally looks like kind of like the Kaaba. No, that's not what I want to do. Let me go back. Sorry, let me just see images. I think it's easier if we go to images. Boom, there it is. So that's the Golden Temple, right? This is in India. People come to, they get fed a meal, they get to serve their Lord there, which obviously, because it's a monotheistic religion, the Lord that they perceive created the skies and the land and the world. The seven skies and the land is the same Lord that created the seven skies and the land, in my view, right? We might have different ideas about eschatology, but they, to them, have many rules, many laws that is very similar to the Islamic law and the Islamic tradition from Adam onwards. So it's very, very, it's a very friendly religion to us. But this is what, I know, sorry for the long tangent, but this is what I think the Mecca was supposed to be, and that's how it was for a long time until recently when people made it into a tourist destination. Astaghfirullah. Brother, you're getting into because Quranic remedy. Brother, you get into many arguments cause fitna. You make good video Quran remedies. Thank you, brother. I am going to try to get back to him. Yes. Peace, bro. Oh, sister Yara, how you doing? Lamin, how are you, brother? Peace, 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 peace. Okay, now I'm going to go down and we're going to start going. Weekly Kufr sermon. Cool. Thank you. Appreciate that. Apparently, Guru Nanak also had a rope with Quranic ayats in it. Pretty interesting indeed. His best friend, I think that's the person who established the Sikh path, His best friend was a Muslim, and apparently this Muslim man put the first brick in the Golden Temple. So take it as you want. Simon coming with the trouble already. Simon says, all right, let me see. Salaam Salam, Brother Muhammad. I have a question regarding 230. I was thinking that the angels of God usually obey Nufik, but this verse showed them to question God's antics of Adam. Okay, does not mean they had one. God is showing you that they themselves are also in a point where they have to make decisions. They do have free will. Not all the angels. Some of the angels, they have a process. They have to do the process, and they will not disobey God. As God says that in the the keepers of hell are angels that do not disobey God and they do what they're ordered. God will not add words in the Quran if it did not have a purpose. God's saying that they do not disobey God, that there are some entities that are of an angel. The word malak in the Quran comes from the root word of malik, which is ownership or kingship, of owning something. So there are these entities that are unseen that have hold over certain processes. So for example, God is the one who dictates who dies and who lives. But when it comes to the point of causing death, that's done by a messenger, an angel. They cannot work on their own free will. They can't say, well, no, I'm not going to kill this guy, or no, I'm not going to take this guy's soul, or you know what, I'm going to take this guy's soul even though the conditions of death is not met and God has not ordered it to be done. So they do not go away from God, but they witness, right? So for them to be a witness, they have to have their own entity so that they can be a witness on the day of judgment. Because if they're just completely, there's no thoughts and they do exactly what God has said, then how are they truly a witness if they're not capable of comprehending what they're witnessing? So I also believe that this is not something that they're asking about the future. They're not saying, like I'll pull it up and then I will show you verses where it could allude that they're talking about presently. One second. There it is. So yeah. So, and when your Lord said to the angels, I will place a successor on earth, they said, will you place therein one who will corrupt it and shed blood therein, while we glorify with your praise and sanctify you? He said, indeed, I know what you do not know. Sorry, here, this ataj'alu, right? Ataj'alu here, the is the thing that we know that it's a question. They're questioning, right? But ataj'alu does not necessary for it to be a future event. Like this could be like ataj'alu fiha, like it could be that there are already creatures in the land right now, right? So there would have been creatures already on earth that are creating that are corrupting and shedding blood. And they were saying like, hey, like you're allowing this stuff to occur and we're sanctifying you, but we're not understanding this point because it goes against the nature that we know of you. But God is saying that like he knows what he knows what they don't know. And the human being is actually fulfilling the nature of God if they're a good human being, right? While the devils and these animalistic instincts that occurred before, it's still kind of within us, but we have to monitor it. I personally believe that they're asking about something that's already occurring, right? While I would think they say sataj'alu fiha would have been about the successor. But to each their interpretation, it could be also understood that they presumed that Adam and his seed would cause corruption on earth, but Adam was not technically created on earth. So why would they think that Adam is going to come down on earth at that point? So this is up for debate, but it's all good. Ghost at the window. No. Look, guys, anyone who's saying that Hajj is a debate has no idea what he's saying, okay? Because I apologize. I want to show you a verse. Known months. So, okay. So here, so this is in regards to people who are saying Hajj comes from the same root as the word Hajj Ibrahim, which is like argued. Okay, like there was a jidal, a debate in regards to something. So they use the word hajj, which means an excuse, by the way. It does not mean hajja is an excuse. It's not like man hajja Ibrahimu bi Rabbi. It's because the Ibrahim said something and the man gave an excuse. No, hey, my Lord causes life and death. So the man said, I cause life and death. So there's an excuse why I'm your Lord. That's why God used the word hajja Ibrahim bi Rabbi. It's not jadala Ibrahim fi Rabbi, because God says وَجَادِلُوا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ, and debate, argue with the people of the book in a good way. But when it comes down to Hajj, if you're going to say that it's a great debate, then why is God literally telling us here, uh, the month of pilgrimage, the month of Ashhur, Al-Hajj Ashhur Ma'lumat. So Hajj is known months. So whoever obligates the Hajj in them, thus he shall not behave obscenely, neither act iniquitously, nor argue. There's no argument, there's no debating during Hajj season. If you're going to do Hajj, you're not allowed to debate and argue. It's not a time for you to debate and argue. Like and it's very clear here. فلا رفث ولا فسوق ولا جدال في الحج. There's no جدال في الحج. So I find it very intriguing when people go, oh no, Hajj means jidal. No, it doesn't. It cannot, because God is telling you literally, do not do debating during Hajj. So that we can put that to the side now. No, it has absolutely nothing. There was many stones throughout the. Okay, so this is a quick history lesson. Aside from the black stone, there was also a white stone, there was a blue stone, there was a few stones in different shrines, because they had, the Kaaba was the first shrine, okay, that was in the Arabian Peninsula when they were pagans. And then people created more shrines where there is no more fighting, where you come to this shrine and it's disallowed for you to fight. That's why people already understood the concept that Kaaba, there is no fighting, right? Like we could have tribal wars, we could be enemies, but when we at these shrines, there are no fighting. And at certain shrines, they put different colored rocks that they found. One of the shrines, which would have been, they put it as the main god, right? Kaaba, because that is the first god and the only god. There was a black stone, but this was a pagan act. It wasn't part of the actual religion, because the other shrines that got destroyed, they had them. And I can, like, let me see if I can pull up. Arabic paganism, maybe. Ah, man, I need to find this image to talk about it. No, that's not it. I don't know if I could find it, but give me 1 second. I'll see if I can. I have it bookmarked. No, 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 no. Oh, that's unfortunate. I will have to pull it up, but yes, they did have different colored stones other than the black stone. So let me, you know what? I think I know how to get it. I apologize, people. I want to see if I can find it. See. There it is. Look at this. Ba-ba-ba-bum. So in Taif, right? I'm trying to find it. Please, people. So there we go. Okay, so Allat, for example, it's it they for the in Taif they had it seemed like a shrine dedicated to Allat, and it had a white stone. So that white stone represented, like I can't find an example of it, but I did find that yes. So there was the white stone of Allat, which was in Taif. Up, 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 up. Dun, 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 dun. By the way, you look like the guy that would say, back in my day. All right, let's go back to the new comments. Oh man, you guys are awesome. True promise and earning sort of goods by throwing the rocks. This is not true. I have to go sleep and wake up early. Habibi al-qalb. Thank you, man. God bless you too. All right. Any other questions? This chat used to be funny. What happened? We're working, bro. It does not need to sit here and be funny all the time. Anyone to go Hajj with me? I've been practicing my stone throwing. All right, that's pretty good. Khalifa from Khalifa succeeding. Who came before Adam? Human being. Because there were creatures on earth that were not humans before the human. Very easy, bro. Does that make all Hajjis debaters then? Like, that's true. Hajji is a debater. Okay, guys. This is something that I don't get how people don't see it that very clearly. Oh, there are no synonyms in the Quran. There are no synonyms in the Quran. So if there are words with the exact same root, they must be connected. In a weird way, yes. But does every word right now in the Quran connect? No, because Arabic has been going on for a very long time. So the segregations and the branching went so far out that some words are alien to another words, despite them having the same root, because it branched into a word, branched into a word, branched into a word. So now they're very distant. And I have a list of words for the people that want to be like, well, Hajj here means excuse and debate. So Hajj now all of a sudden has to mean also debate and excuse it. No, dude, that's not how it works. So I have a list here that I want to pull up of a few words. This is a challenge for you non-ritual. I'm just kidding. This is just for those people that want to see that sometimes you don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand how the Arabic language works. Yes, there are shared roots for a lot of words, but it cannot be every single word. For example, the word Hajj, okay? So yes, you could say that Hajj can come from the word of excuse, and this is an excuse that when you visited the house, right? And now that's your excuse on the day of judgment, but that's not what it says. فَمَنْ حَجَّ الْبَيْتِ. So you excused the house? That does not make sense in Arabic. So the word Hajj is like pilgriming, like the pilgrimage. So whoever did pilgrimage to the house at this point, right? So it's the word pilgrimage is clearly a word that's in English that means that you are going for a visitation for a specific purpose. You're finishing that specific purpose and then you're leaving. So it's not, come on, dude, load, please. Sorry, I'm waiting for the list. So you finish the purpose and then you leave because you didn't immigrate, right? You're not an immigrator, you're just performing a pilgrimage. So now the words that I would like you to say, I call this the same root syndrome, okay? So the same root syndrome, I'm going to share it here. And we're going to talk about this here. So the word bashar, okay? So bashar, right, which means human. Basharun, human, or it can also mean, basharun min masnoon. Let me see what people are translating this word as, because it could mean something that spreads, okay? Bashar, which I think a good one would be al-hijr. 15. Innaka min basharin mad. إنسان من صلصال إلى الملائكة خلقت من بشر. Yeah, from bashar, we could just use human for now, right? Well, what's going on here, Notion? What's going on, Notion? Okay, but then there's also the word bashir. Bashir, so here we go. So the first one, bashar. خالق إني خالق بشر. I will create a human from argyle mud. Boom. Okay. And then we're going to come back to the Notion tab. Boom. And then there's the word bashir, which shares the same root. And bashir is like to, I think, 17. Let's go, boy. Let's go. Sure. Just do something. Internet is a little slow. I apologize. Let me see. Bashir. إن الذين كفروا ختم وإذا لقوا الله يستهزئ مسلمهم ظلمات يا أيها الناس اعبدوا الذي جعلكم فإن وبشر there and give good news, right? Bashir is give news, give news. So bashar وبشر, right? شجرة وشجر. Okay, so the first one is to fight, and the other one is to a tree. Okay, فلا وربك لا يؤمنون شجرة بينهم شجرة بينهم. All right, let me see. This is in 465. So let's go to 465. 465. Boom. Share this tab. فلا وربك لا يؤمنون حتى يحاكموك فيما شجر بينهم. Right? So here is the word shajara, which right there, which means fight or argue or dispute, right? But then we have the word shajara with the ta, which would share the same root, right? Which means tree. Okay? So we have tree. And then we have nahar and nahar. Nahar is day, like daylight, day from like morning type day, not like calendar day. And then nahar, which is river, right? And then we have something like a sur, which would be a trumpet, right? And sawarakum, which means picture, like he pictured you or like he modeled you. All right, so all these words technically share the same root, but they have different meanings, completely different meanings. So what do you do then? What's your duty at this point? So that's how sometimes I don't understand why people want to make issues when issues are not there. And they want to implement ways of trying to approach the Quran in a way that they don't need to implement, because it's very easy to understand the Quran if you just trust in what God is telling you and what God is showing you, instead of trying to come up with a system that people did not use for 1400 years ever. Okay, so cool. Severely or extremely? What about severely, extremely? Shidda. I think you're talking about shidda. There's many words in the Quran where they share the very same root, but the root is, but the words are extremely, very disconnected. Like I can go through the corpus right now, and sorry, I remember certain things that people say that is just like it's just. So, for example, here's one, right? So, like, please, someone who's obviously much more like better English, I mean Arabic speaker than me, who wants to tell me how my language works, yet they don't speak it. Please explain to me why, right here in this word right here, sabu, right? Sabawa, asubbu, وَإِلَّا تَصْرِفُ عَنِّي كَيْدِهِنَّ أَصُبُّ إِلَيْهِنَّ, I might incline to them, right? And here, وَآتَيْنَاهُ الْحُكْمُ صَبِيًّا, as a child. But it's the same root. Isn't that interesting? Huh? Like, this is ongoing in the Quran, right? فأقبلت امرأته فصقت وجهها وقالت عجوز عقيم. Like في صرة فسقط. They're saying a loud voice. Okay. كمثل ريح فيه صر. Right. Like the wind has frost. أصروا, persisted. But here they're gonna say like, no, the wind has within it persistence. This is when you guys try to confuse yourselves, and when you do that, you end up having these issues. Leave صلب, صلبة, yeah. يصلبه crucify, but crucify is not a good word. Here it does not apply. But I'm trying to see if I can Samad, but they don't have. Okay, that's fine. If I can find more of these, these like we يسخر به في بطونهم والجلود, right? فجعلناه نصبا وصهرا. Yeah. Anyways, this is for me an interesting way that people want to try to force things that are not present there. Thank you, my sister, for being such a good moderator. Ashley as well. And Mr. Wolf. I start calling you Mr. Wolf. Sheikh's always got some GSSE sciences going on. I don't know. Does that really work? With me, in what I'm saying is no. Sorry, Max, let me just see it. I'm trying to like finish the answer, and then Max. Where's Max? La Guerrera. Peace. Let me see, Max. Mohammed, can you answer my question? Yes. Done. Next. Where's Max? I don't see your question, bro. No ghost. I was expecting one. Max, where's your question, brother? Salam, Muhammad, I have a question. Is meditation for relaxing haram? No. Cool. Jay, what is evil eye? Is this real? Because they're easily visit in their eyes. So no, this is not real. This is just okay. So this with the eye thing, this is a pagan practice from the times of the Hittite and even back, right? So what they're talking about, khums, eye thingy. What is it called? Eye of Fatima. You even say it that Hamsa, right? So they have this thingy here. Can you guys see my screen? No. So this is complete superstition. This is a complete lie. They have this eye thing that you could see that it goes back all the way from the Mesopotamians. This is they truly don't put the 5-handed things, but they put the they still use the eye. But in Turkey they use the hand thing often. So, and it's like, yeah, so it's the same thing as like knock on wood or touch wood. It's the same thing that is just superstition. This God did not order in anything to do with this. I'm going to show you something about Istanbul though. Was this? Yeah, Istanbul, Beldesi, images. Oh, yes, I found it very quickly. Okay, guys. So Istanbul, they changed their like symbol of their city to this. Okay, so you see, I'm gonna make this bigger. So I'm gonna show you how they play with people. There's ways you don't get it. Like it's really gross. So let's count how many. This is supposed to be a mosque, okay? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then there's this thing here, and then this thing here, and something in the middle, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So they have this symbology, but does it look familiar to something? Does it look extremely familiar to something that we were looking at a little earlier? Don't they kind of look the same? Because the old symbol in Istanbul used to be the one with the 5 hands, which you see it in all the stores in Turkey. But there's no truth to it. Okay, so are we doing an alternative to the GoFundMe? Are we going to do an alternative to the GoFundMe? What do you say, brother? Should we do an alternative to the GoFundMe? For me, I do want to do it. I don't know my time here. My time has to be limited here due to a few certain things. But I would, if we can raise the amount of, but to me, it's not, I want the people's money to get back to them before I do the drive again. I'm not going to force people to donate to another cause and then the money come back. That's not fair. So I might but this could be a problem. I might have to leave Lebanon for a little bit, redo the drive, and then come back and push the money out. So I think that is going to be my plan, but I want people to get their refunds first. So I want, especially you, Brother Mehdi, you did an amazing job. Of course, it doesn't go unwasted with God. In fact, those people have to answer to you directly on the day of judgment on why they blocked your money to go from where it is. Cool. Can you explain the spelling of al-layl? What's wrong with the spelling of al-layl? Al-layl. Not sure what you mean by your question there. Yes, that's very true. Cavelli, they do also want to play with the game of symbology and collective symbolism. I know symbology isn't a word. I keep using it. So this is the police services of Saudi. It's not just Mecca. Logo. There it is. This thing here, bro. These guys are scary looking. You don't want to mess with these cops. These cops are weird, man. I'm sorry. These cops are very weird. They have absolutely no idea what they're doing. All right, guys, you're ready for this? So this is, I don't want to say certain things. So this is the police force and their cars in, look at this toy car. Okay, so if you see, this is their logo right here. Their logo is an eye, a single eye, and it has the crescent in the middle, right? So it's here it is again. So, and he says, al-amn, al-am, al-shurta. So al-amn means security, am is like public security, al-shurta, police. And yes, it's an eye, right? And then they have the dude in like the Saudi crescent in the middle. Do you know, when I was in Saudi Arabia, for the time I stayed in Saudi Arabia, I went to the cop, I was like, why do you guys put an eye? He looks at it, he goes, it is an eye. Like he didn't realize it. And then I give, yeah, I saw this, and I'm gonna look into it. I'm gonna see if I can. I might just go through Stripe and do my own little platform for it instead of having to deal with other people. So my programs. I might make the drive-through Telegram as well. I can have so many ways of accepting money, but I want to have it transparent, right? So this is something that's important. Inshallah, thank you, brother. Asr, well, and it could be time, you know, like time, it could be afternoon. Like, yeah, so this is what I'm saying. Was it possible to donate via PayPal? Yes, it is, but the problem is PayPal takes a big cut, especially because people are sending so much. So I'll give you an example. If you send $20,000, right, US dollars, to a person in Europe where they deal with euro, right? The person will receive US dollars on their PayPal, but when they want to extract it to a bank, they're forced to convert it to euro. But that conversion rate, they don't use the market conversion rate. They give you such a bad price. So that for them to convert that $20,000 to euro, they'll take about $700. So the thing with the drive, everyone is donating in many different currencies. So they try to put it into a single currency, or they let your bank deal with the conversion instead of the site deals with the conversion. GoFundMe makes the bank deal with the conversion instead of them dealing with the conversion, and they accept one currency, right? But PayPal, they allow you to accept multiple currencies, and they'll let the person pay with whatever currency they want, and then they'll rip you off in these conversions that they do. So I don't want to use PayPal. This is, anyways. Assalamu alayka, assalamu alayka, Muhammad. What is the best way to learn the Arabic language in order to understand the true language aside Ahlul Sunnah and doctorations in language? Look, okay, so learning the language, learning MSA, learning classical Arabic, this is the way forward, because it's teaching you not what the definitions of the word means, because yes, the definitions have evolved. There's new definitions to words that are not part of the Quran or the time there. that's something that's easy to discover when you're reading older and older and older dictionaries and older texts, so you can see the context of the words there. And the Quran is very clear in its word usages, because it, despite it being so eloquent, it's very straightforward to an Arabic reader who does not have like those attachments. So you do have to learn classic and modern standard Arabic, because it's teaching you the grammar rules. The grammar rules cannot change. Ever since Arabic has been established, those grammar rules have always been set in stone, because it is a way of how the language is being built. That cannot change. I can't sit here and start saying, instead of akala al-waladu, akala walada, al-walada, at-tufahata. That's just crazy in Arabic, and it does not flow correctly. The thing that makes Arabic so amazing is part of these rules that makes it flow so easy when you're speaking it. So I would recommend you literally open up Duolingo, start taking the basic things. But if somebody is serious about learning a language, you have to engulf yourself into it for 1 month, 2 months, just like a child. You're not going to know what's going to be said. You have to get your instructors. You should go to a country where they would teach you. I used to recommend Egypt for this. Egypt's not a place that I would recommend in this time, not because of political reasons, just the people are right now are just on a different time zone, different planet zone. But if you're going to want to learn Arabic, if you have a decent bankroll and you can travel, I would recommend Qatar or Saudi. But if you don't have a decent bankroll and you want to still learn Arabic very quickly, Mauritania is another place that I would recommend. The Eye of the Sauron. Yeah, man, it's so crazy. Excuse me? Come on, bro. Cut the what? You're taking money from Rasulullah's pulpit? Bro, I take money and I give it to people on the street. You're a demon, bro. All right, then. Have a nice day. We'll see on the day of judgment where that money went. No, 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 no. Do not. Actually, you're right. I should stop the. Everyone's getting their money back. No, the GoFundMe, there was an issue with the GoFundMe people. They don't like money to be sent in the way that God has ordered it. They decide who gets money and who doesn't. So let me, actually, you know what? I'll start the refunds myself. I think I have the ability to provide refunds. So let me see if I can. See donations, can I refund? No, it doesn't tell me. Okay. Give me 1 second. But I do want to pause it. Let me pause the. How do I pause this stupid thing? I hate this website, man, for what they did. They really wasted my time. Sorry, I just realized this man, he's accused me of a lot of things. No. There. Save. Cool. All right. So I stopped it. It seems like I cannot refund it. I will make them refund it. But yeah, exactly. Thank you. Thank you, Sister Yera. Man. Anyways, please, I want to show you something. Jabril, join our, where is it? Join our Telegram group, okay? And you will find me on the Telegram. It's the same name as my YouTube channel, where I take money from the Prophet's pulpit, but those Sunnis and the Shias, they don't. I don't know. Yeah, I couldn't find a refund button. I wish they do have a refund button. Can I say GoFundMe refund donors? And I refund it. You can the action. So please be sure your donors before moving forward. Please click here to request to refund donors. If you think fundraiser, okay. So I guess I have to cause fundraising URL. All donors. So what is the email? This is the email fundraiser URL. Sorry guys, I don't want to do it right now. because I am tired of this stupid company. Oh, your company wasted wasted a week and a half of our time, and we still have yet to achieve any progress. So I would like progress. Yeah, just shut up. I understand. Shut up. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Let me see. Don't pay mind to these. I know. It's just you know how it is. You know how it is. Cool. That's another website that Sister Yatim she placed for you to learn Quranic Arabic. No, they don't. They don't ruin the stream. What it is, it's just I find it very intriguing that the person makes accusations, but then to me, it's not him that I like. It's like God is reading and seeing that too, and it's like he's putting it out there, and he does not understand the gravity of what he's saying and to whom he's saying it to. And it's just like it's like me going to somebody's stream. I have absolutely no idea who he is, and I just start to insult him. It's a very weird thing. It's a very weird thing. Is black magic real? Is it possible? Okay, so possession is real. You can be possessed by a jinn, right? But the people who are being possessed by jinn are usually liars. Okay, so people who lie and they commit obscenities. The other thing is you could be sexually, like if you're very sexually perverted, yes, that's another way for a jinn to possess you. Black magic, as if someone cursing you and all this voodoo stuff, there is some truth to it, but it can only be done by the permission of God as well. But the magic that the people of Pharaoh were doing, that was like Houdini type stuff, where there's a trick where it's tricking your eye. It's not that, but the word magic as well in the Quran is mentioned as in brainwashing. Okay, you're just trying to brainwash us. You're trying to indoctrinate us. That word is magic, where the person is mesmerized with an idea, right? That's the word magic's mesmerized. So it's like sahar ayunihim. They mesmerize their eyes. In turidu in anta illa sahir. Like you're just mesmerizing us with an idea that is just the legends of the old. So yeah, they're real. Ya'juj and Ma'juj, I think they've been corrupting in the land for so long, and I believe that it's two civilizations that they're meeting face to face. I don't want to talk about eschatology. It's not my position to talk about eschatology. But if I'm going to make two claims, and this is personal, subjective. I'm not saying that this is from God. I'm not saying this is my take, okay? Because I don't have the knowledge about this stuff. But it could be like Russia against America, because Ya'juj and Ma'juj sounds like they came from the same source, that they split and they fight each other, and they've caused a lot of corruption in the land, the American party and the Russian party. Or it could be the Chinese and the West. Like, who knows? But I don't, it's not for me. It's not for me. How do I join? Jibril. I put the link. You just type that link, you download Telegram, you're good to go. Hello. Oh, there is no basmala in the beginning of chapter 9, because that war was specifically for the prophet and the people around the prophet. Okay, so it's an order for those believers in that situation at that time, and it's not going to be timeless. If it has the basmala at the beginning of chapter 9, at that point that war would have been ongoing. So it was a lesson for people to understand, where it was the punishment of God on those people, and God is not the punisher. So God's order came, right? And God's order is on the believers is to get rid of the mushriks in a war, right? But that's not how you deal with mushriks. So that's why I don't believe it has a basmala at the beginning. I hope that answers that question quickly. Brother, it's so difficult to have a pizza here in Beirut. It's not the same. But yeah, let's see. All right, guys, I do have to wrap it up. It's been an hour and a half. I think I did make my decision in regards to the GoFundMe. They're going to refund everybody's money. I am going to have to change locations again. Guys, for those people who are watching now, in the last week, I was put in a situation where it was all by God's mercy, but it was very testing, okay? But I was put in front of, yeah, we're refunding everybody's money. I have to weigh my words very carefully here, okay? So I had to interact with certain government agencies in Lebanon where I was capable of expressing the Quran alone position, and it was extremely well accepted. And I was questioned by high-ranking individuals in the Lebanese government in regards to the Quran alone position and how it pertains to ongoing political issues. I cannot reveal any more information than that, but for our community, as Quran alone believers, it was a huge, incredibly huge win. But that's all I can say. No, I love them. But here, like they have these things called Menaish here. I grew up on Menaish, but Lebanese Menaish is just like a whole different, like it's a whole different game. Okay, so it's like pizza. I love pizza, but with the Menaish game and okay, so like the pita bread, it's called Lebanese bread. And by the way, in like the Middle East, there's a few different types of pita bread, but the pita bread that you know in the West that they use for shawarma, it's Lebanese pita bread. Lebanese people, when they make bread here, it's next level, next level. Are you Lebanese? No, I'm not. I'm now recently I've been revealing where I'm from. I am from Syria. I'm Syrian. Bro, I can't get into details, but the but said agencies, not agencies, they were if anyone is from Lebanon, they understand how rough said agencies are, but they were extremely sharp in understanding our message. They were extremely sharp because Lebanon, okay, so let me explain to you how Lebanon is for the last 40, 50 years or so. Okay, in Syria, if I talk about the government, the Syrian government, and they heard that I'm talking about the Syrian government, I would disappear. Me and a few people, if someone hurt, everyone disappears. You're done. You're tortured. In Egypt, if you're talking about the army, you're done. Okay, there's no freedom of speech. There's no freedom of expression. In Lebanon, specifically Lebanon, you have a very huge Shia majority, not even a minority. You have a big Shia population. You have a huge Sunni population. You have a huge Druze, not a huge, a minority Druze population. You have a big Christian community segmented with different sects. So it's a very multicultural and multi-religious country where the freedom of expression is kind of forced upon you. Like you could walk in the street and you could say like, F the government. And the government hears you, they would laugh. Like they won't do anything. Like you could just sit and you could say like the president's a D word, whatever, right? They won't do anything. Like there are certain things you can't say, obviously, because then that's a little different. But you have the ability to express. So they hear a lot of ideas and they're open to a lot of ideas, but they have a lot of issues in regards to these different groups. But they've somehow always managed, not always, but they've recently managed to kind of keep it together despite there's a lot of outside pressure on Lebanon. in trying to cut it up because of the Zionist cancer that's below them. They just keep trying to cause problems, right? So, so what occurs is, like, because they've been open to a lot of ideas, when the truth was told to them, right? I mean, like these government agencies, they quickly recognized it because they could see how it was solving the problems of all these internal problems that they're having. And then it's like, okay, wait, we found a solution that works. But this man seems like he knows it, so let's ask him about it, right? And we talked for many hours about Quran alone positions. But I can't get into details. But yeah, we made progress. So so I was sitting in an area, like a very high. I was sitting in a very highly secured area, discussing my Quran alone position, making progress with government agencies by my God's grace, and God is using me as a tool. And then I disappeared for a week, literally disappeared. They took just to make sure, they took everything. Like you can't have a phone. You can't. I was not able to call anybody. I was not able to address anybody. You just disappeared. Literally, that's all I can say. You disappeared. Nobody knows. Nobody will find you. Okay. Nobody will say where you are. You just disappeared. So, and then they sat and talked. We talked for a while. And then I come back and I see some people like posting videos like these like Quran alone, like non-ritual weirdos. They're like insulting me and they're doing their weird thing. But I'm sitting here thinking like, man, my God is like allowing me to strive. He's putting me in positions where I'm talking to like world leaders and like community leaders. I'm having interactions with like governments who are capable of actually changing things. And these people are making YouTube videos. It was weird. It was weird. But alhamdulillah. Yeah, that man. You got it. Well, it was such a stupid video. Yes, Raza, I mean, it was such a stupid video because the man didn't say anything that I believe in. Like he clearly is just hurt. Like he's deluded. Raza, I'm gonna see your video. Question. Sorry, assalamu alaikum. If you get it, can you please answer a question? Did you post it or not? If not, please post your question. Because I don't see it, to be honest. I think, by the way, the sect in mainstream Islam that is more friendly to us is the Shias. The Shias understand the message extremely quickly. They understand. They might not change, but they're very accepting of the message. They go, hey, if that makes complete sense, yes, the Quran, sure, I'm okay with it. How do you pray? Can you please, why should we take from the Quran if it was also preserved, like orally preserved like hadith? Okay, Raza, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. The earliest manuscripts that we have of the Quran are either within the timeline of the Prophet or like 5 years max after. But the Quran clearly states that the Prophet was writing it with his hand, okay? وَمَا كُنْتَ تَخِطُّهُمْ بِيَمِينِكَ, right? So the Prophet was writing, and the kuffars in chapter 25 said, كتبها فهي تملى عليه بكرة وأصيلا. So they're saying that he wrote it down and it's being recited to him day and night. So they saw him writing something. God says that he's writing something. So he's writing the Quran clearly, right? Now, you have in the history, this is not religion, we're talking history now. You have Abu Bakr, you have Umar, you have Uthman, you have Ali, the four caliphs that were around the Prophet. They were very close and they were very aware of the Prophet's teaching. None of them made any effort in propagating or preserving any hadith books. Okay. Now I am going to assume that you are probably reading Hafs an Asim, which is a Quranic recitation or a reading of the Quran. Hafs is considered a very strong transmitter of the reading of the Quran, but he's considered a very weak hadith narrator, and they don't take hadith from Hafs. So it's not the same people, nor was it the same method. Now we have 400,000, we had 600,000 hadith that Bukhari memorized with isnad, okay? But he only gave you 7,000. But this is not this is not how the Quran works. The Quran doesn't have a strong ayah, authentic ayah, weak ayah, hasan ayah. But you have that in the Quran, which is something that is extremely weird. Now, aside from that, if the Prophet was giving a khutbah every Friday, why did they not memorize all those khutbahs except maybe one or two? Why is it always these little weird petty things that they had to record and it wasn't something of substance? Why isn't it? Why has this not followed through with everyone else that was after the Prophet? So what you're asking is a question where you're making a logical problem which doesn't actually exist. God promised the preservation of the Quran, and all these other books are going through the exact same process where all other books in the world went through. The preservation of the Quran is a miracle that cannot be proven because there's no other book that can be compared to what the Quran went through, including the Hadith books. So, and now we can go with the verses of the Quran. I believe the Quran is from God, not because people told me that it's from God, because of the context, because of what the Quran is saying. I know that the Lord that created this amazing world that has no clashes, like the system that is in front of me doesn't break. The Quran itself doesn't break, while the Hadith does. It has itself contradictions. It's contradicting the book of God, and then it's contradicting the creation of God. So it cannot be from God. Now, aside from that, the Quran tells you that it's complete, that God did not leave anything outside of the book. God said that the book is fully detailed in regards to religion and guidance. God says that these are the verses of God. So what hadith or what discourse do they believe in after God and his verses? So all of these things are alluding to me, and they're showing to me that I am not needing of anything other than the book of God. So you can sit here and show me things that are aligning with the Quran and said things that are considered as prophetic hadith, but you cannot prove to me that the Prophet actually said so word for word, while I can wholeheartedly believe that whatever's in the Quran is word for what the Prophet said. And then I will take you to a verse where God says, إِنَّهُ قَوْلٌ رَسُولٌ كَرِيمٌ. It is the saying of an honorable messenger, right? وَمَا هُوَ بِشَاعِرٍ. And he was not of a poet. So this is talking about the Prophet. تَنْزِيلٌ مِّن رَبِّ الرَّحِيمِ. Brought down from the merciful deity, merciful God. So the words that were coming out of the messenger, this is what the messenger told you from God. So if I want to know what the messenger said, I would have to follow what the Quran said, and I am not in need of anything else. Personal opinions or personal traditions that were set for 1400 years ago. So quite frankly, I don't agree with your question, because you're asking a question, but it's not a scientific or a logical question. You're just trying to make an argument that does not exist for you to give yourself a reason onto following books that are not outlined nor were they sent from God. And if you really want to follow the religion of God, you should use the book of God. If you want to follow what the religion, what your forefathers were doing and what your forefathers said, then carry on with what you're doing, but you're going to have issues. You are going to find your misguidance, and it's very difficult for you to see so if you're going to judge what other people are saying instead of judging yourself and judging what God has told you in the book. So quite frankly, that question is not a question that can be answered. Yeah, bro, it was nuts, man. Brother Munir, I can't talk here. I can't talk while I'm in Lebanon because I know there have to be. Anyways, but it was insane. God put me in such a position, and they treated me with such respect. Like they treated me with such respect. Like just because I had to be disassociated, like they give him the best room, whatever he's asking for. Like they treated me with such respect. Like these are people like I can't. Anyways, bingo, bingo. That is the truth. All right, I'm gonna go down and go back up. Sorry. Yes. Okay. So you have your answers now. I have answered this question a few times. Do you think? Yes. Asma, I do actually believe that they are setting up the Americans to undergo a civil war because they need to inflate their money. Okay. So now we're going back to it feels like what I had to go through for the last week. So I do believe that it is in their favor to cause a civil war in America. And you could see that the media is pushing for a civil war. Because if the agencies and the intelligence services that are pushing the American society, if they did not want to have a division and they did not want to have a war, they would propagate it in a way so that people would find peace. This is something that is very easy for a government to do, to either enforce the peace, enforce a diplomatic method of dealing with each other, or they can force a way so that they can't go at each other's throat. This is something that is very honed and very well equipped, well trained by the CIA to perform and to do to others. They understand that there's also a Russian influence and a Russian force pushing the Americans into a civil war, which they're welcoming. They don't try to fight this propagation, nor do they try to express to the people that there is a foreign force trying to cause a civil war. For them, they need to inflate their dollar to a point where they can pay back their debt as it's inflated. This is something that's very easy to understand. If I owe you $10 million, and right now $1 is worth a lot of money, I would crash my currency, so my currency is worthless. So for me, $1 becomes nothing, right? So like if bread used to cost $1, now I need $100 to buy bread, right? So the currency became very obsolete, but I still owe you 10 million. So now I just pay you back peanuts of what I owed you. The United States is in debt for 53 trillions or $35 trillion or whatever it is. Let's see, US debt. The US debt right now is over $33 trillion. So if they inflate the currency to at least like to a certain degree, they can pay back very easily, and then they can maneuver themselves into a digital currency, a cryptocurrency. Instead of it being on a blockchain, it will be on a government blockchain or a yeah, it'll still be centralized, but it would be a different system where they would no longer need to print money. They would have ways of dealing with it in the physical world, maybe physical wallets and physical things of that nature, but they would not have to deal with paper money. They would have paid their $1 trillion debt, and they would have had a way to reset their economy. Because the civil war, the thing that is very incredibly good for a war, during a war, is to have regulations dropped for you to make some very crazy amount of money very quickly and to grab power extremely quickly. So there is a power toss-up in the West where America is in a decline. They understand this, and they want to repicture themselves. So this generation and this coming generation, they're in trouble because you're going to have to go endure a civil war if things carry on the way they do. But they want to rebuild it for different generations, and they plan, and God is the best of planners. So this is my way of seeing what is occurring in the United States. That's a very, very good question. Very good way. There is the final sermon. The final sermon before when he was in Hajj on Mount Arafat, they recorded that khutbah, and that khutbah has 3 versions. Okay, so one version, the Prophet is saying, this is the final sermon. So he says, I have left behind one thing. If you hold on to this thing, you will never get deluded. I have left for you the book of God. If you hold on to the book of God, you will not get deluded. This is one version of said sermon. And there's a second version where I have left behind 2 things. One, the book of God, and then Ahlul Bayt, the people of the house. If you hold on to the book of God and then you follow the people of the house, you will not get deluded. Or if you respect and honor the people of the house, you will not get deluded. Introducing to you Shia. And then there's the third version of the same sermon, because it's mutawatir, everybody heard it, right? I have left behind 2 things, the book of God and my sunnah. And if you hold on to those 2 things, you will not get deluded. Welcome to Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So this same hadith, which has been narrated in 3 different ways, which one shows that it could be true, which is I left behind the book of God for you to not get deluded. This one they don't accept if we say that, even though it's sahih. But then you have the same version in 2 different ways where it's giving credence to Shi'ism, and it's then given credence to Ahl Sunnah. I think it's very clear at that point. Okay, I'm going to go back down. I'm sorry if I am dropping, missing some. Yes, they have been. I think I know what you're talking about. Yes, that's exactly it. So they are trying to make it into a situation very similar to what occurred in September 11. It's not, but this now, instead of being a false flag operation, where now we have an outside enemy that we need to have, the enemy is within us. The enemy is within us, so we need to have the ability for certain things to not happen again. So a good example is what happened in January 6th. They tested the waters, but they also started to have new regulations so that this upcoming new nationalistic party, which is very similar to what people want to attribute to what a certain Austrian painter did in World War II. That kind of mentality is coming up again, even though that wasn't their mentality, but this is how they were taught on how that person was thinking, but that's not how the person was thinking. So it's very disgusting, it's very wrong, it's very oppressive. It's very similar to what Pharaoh was doing. When God says that Pharaoh, he cut his people into sects and he was oppressing one side. This is technically kind of what's happening. It's an example of what's happening in the United States. But yes, a civil war is coming, which brings me back to a point that I remembered. Me and the close group of brothers and sisters that I talk to often, I think it's very important now in the United States for us to give more exposure to the truth, to the religion of God, because people in the times of pain, in the times of sorrow, when things are not going through themselves, that's the time where they're most susceptible, most capable of understanding the message of God. Because when things are not going good, people are willing to compromise, to listen, so that God would help them. Right? Everyone's saying, "Oh my God," when the plane is crashing, but everyone's happy and insulting God when the plane is flying good. So when the United States, if it goes through some turmoil, a lot of people will start turning to God, because that's naturally what happens. That's it's stated in the Quran, that people will, like when the pain hits them, then they say, "Oh, you know what? We were bad people. I'm sorry, God, help me." Right? So people are going to start needing to hear the truth. You don't need to explain what Sunnism is. You don't need to explain what Hadith is. You just start telling them what God is ordering you to do. So this is where your time as a Quran alone believer would need to be shining. Why? Because you've practiced your religion. You know what? No. Yes, it's a time of war, but feed that man. The man's also hungry. He's a human being like you. It's not about red and blue. It's not about all of this nationalistic stuff. You're a human being. You're going to be asked about that. Don't you believe in God? Isn't God a good God? So why aren't you being a good person? These differences don't make who we are. We don't know about all of this stuff that they're selling us. The government is not your friend. God is your friend. So treat each other the way you want to be treated. It's a very good time for you to really preach the truth. And you got to remember, the majority of the West have no idea about Hadith. They don't understand what Islam is. They don't know what the Quran is. They're just programmed to hate it. So you don't tell them what you're telling them, but you preach it. And then when they ask you, "Hey, like, how did you learn? Like, where did you get all this stuff that seems like it's amazing? Where are you hearing it?" "Oh, that's from the Quran." "Like, the Quran says that?" "Yes." So you don't need to hit them right away like, "Hey, this is what the Quran says," because they're programmed to hate it. So you deliver the message in a way that's contextualized to that human being, and then, "Oh, wait, that's an awesome message. Where did you learn that?" "From God." "How?" "The Quran." "Wait, isn't that the book of the terrorists?" "No, dude, that's just propaganda." What do you think about Allah being pronounced as ilah? Ilah. Please, I need a confirmation on this. Okay, so this is something that I do not see that it's okay. So the root word of Allah, la, yes, in different languages, it's ilah. That is very true. In other languages, it is ilah, the way that they would pronounce it, right? In Arabic, it's Allah. That sila at the beginning of the letter is always present in the Quran every time that alif is shown in al-tarif, the of definition. But how the word was said originally, you had to say that that alif at the beginning. So I do understand where my brother is coming from, right? Because of him reading it from the book. When you're gonna read it, Allah, that's how it's gonna say. Because Bismillah, right? And it's always shown as a salah, but it's the same with Rahman. So if you look at every time the word Rahman is used in the Quran, it still has that same salah. So we don't say Ir-Rahman, we'll say Ar-Rahman, right? Bismillah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. And so yeah, quite frankly, this is just a minor error, but it's not the closest to the truth, but there is still truth to what is being said. Let me put it this way. And this could be just a point of contention between me and my brother Baba Shuaiba, but it does not downplay nor does it mitigate anything from. It does not downplay anything from what he has achieved and what he has done. So yeah, I still consider him a very good teacher. Peace, Ariel. How you doing, mermaid? Only the book of Allah. All right, guys. I do have to. Oh. Hey, where's the Albanians? I think this Eagle. Maybe no. Wait, could be Eagle Heart. Eagle Heart has placed himself as a god. He is the one who decides who goes to hell. Okay, guys, embody it. Are you banned from the Middle Eastern countries? Most Middle Eastern, not most. I am banned from a few countries. You could say a few. I am on a point of I am on a watch list on a few countries, but so far it's good. Zach, when is your next live for Zach, aren't you a Sunni though, brother? Aren't you a person that sits there and likes to just debate but I will. I just need to understand my plan this week. I might be maneuvering again. I might stay a little bit. I don't know. I have to see what my God has. So, all right, guys. I mean, yes, a genuine question. Does Islam has a concept of purification? Yes. Illumination? Yes. And death? I don't know what that means. Not partaking in the essence of God, but through grace. Let me see what that means. I can't say, but I think it's from the treating a mere moral as someone godly. No. So we don't have that I can't say it, bro. I'm gonna try. Help, Yetta. Help, Yetta. Why can't I? What is it? Deification. Okay, no, we don't have deification. Say it. So no one is going to become a god and walking on earth, eating and this. No human, no mortal is going to be embodied by the essence of God completely and walk. No, that's not right. Illumination, yes, that is definitely something that is occurring because God says that He and His angels, they pray on the believers to take them from darknesses, in plural darknesses, into the light. Okay, so when you're into the light, you are now illuminated. And God clearly states that the believers, He gives them a light that they walk through, and people recognize this light. And on the day of judgment, He will fulfill this light. This is a light within a form of a symbol, which goes back to the illuminated people. Now, I understand there is also a secret, not so much secret, but an underground society which they call themselves the Illuminati, which they believe they have been illuminated, which is actually darknesses. And the true believer understand what these people are saying, where they think that they're building heaven on earth and they're the ones who are controlling the world because they're working with demonic and evil spirits. But we ourselves, we are also countering such movement, because we are truly the illuminated ones. We are the ones that God has chose for us to be illuminated. So we are the real Illuminati. But anyways, that's one. And purification, that's zakat in Arabic. So when you are working in the name of God, so there are people that go feed homeless people, but they're doing it because it makes them feel good. They're doing it so that people will see that they're good people. They're just doing it for their own purpose. And there's other people that want to be used as a tool for God. So I want to feed people because God is feeding them through me. When you're doing these kind of processes, that purifies you. So purification exists, illumination exists, and deification is, but wait, you're saying in the sense of not partaking in the essence of God, but through grace. Okay, so God can work through you, God can use your lips, and God can act through your hands. But you would not be completely aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it. That does not make you a deity. It does not make you divine, and it does not put you a level above everybody else. It might give you authority over other people, but you're still equal as human beings. This also applies to the prophets. Okay, we are all obsessed with egos. Albanians. Yes, 9:5 is a verse that was revealed during the war. This verse in number 9, verse 5 in Surah 9. Sorry, it's different. I thought you were talking about 9:5. Let's verse 5 in Surah 9. No, we are talking about the same thing. Yes, this is very contextualized to a very certain set of group of people, and you can't just take that verse. You have to read the whole context where God is, and then the verses after it, where God says that these people, you had a peace agreement so that there would be no fighting, so that so that we don't cause corruption in the land, right? But they kept breaking the treaty. They kept breaking the treaty, and God is saying now that this is the time for you to get back your rights. God is going to humiliate them through your hands. Despite God did not need the believers, but God will pick his soldiers from the angels, from the humans at any time he wants. So this verse is very specific for a very specific situation, and is not a go ahead for everybody to start transgressing into killing people that don't agree with your religion. I could tell you in chapter 2, God says that fight those who fight you and do not transgress. God does not love those that transgress, right? So, or the transgressors. So I'm not going to be the first one to cast the stone. I'm not going to be the first one to declare a war. I'm not going to be the one to instigate a war. I want to solve the issue peacefully. I want to solve the situation in a way where I will ask the person to come to me in a peaceful, submissive manner, and we can discuss it. If the person is upset about my religion, or if my religion is terrorizing, okay, I'm going to say it that way. If my religion is terrorizing his territory in a way that it is scaring the person from him losing his money, his influence, or his power, and he chooses to attack me, then I will have to defend myself and defend the believers in the religion of God. And at that point, chapter 9:5 would start to be applied as an example. But it has never been used a way for you to take the first step and to destroy other people's places. Deification. Why do you say God and not Allah? Because that's the word. Okay, I do this almost every time. People always ask this, but I will always keep saying why I say it, and I'll show you. I need to present my, stop share screen, present screen, share screen. I want to do a window, and it's this window, okay? So you guys see this, right? This is my very highly advanced technology that I will be using to explain my point. But let me see the big size. There's the big size, okay? So we have the word here, al, right? And then we're going to put Allah right there. And you have the shadda here, and then you have the fatha here. Allah. Okay, right. Now this here, al, okay, which people would say as al, right? Right here, al. This is not part of the name, right here. Sorry, this should have been in red, but I didn't do it right. So what you're left with is Allah, right? So law right here. So the name isn't Allah, because al, right, is not part of said name. And this here, la, it has to have a meaning. Okay? It has to have a definition, because it's not a personal name, as you could see, like we could pull up real quick the 9 or 99 names of Allah. Okay. Al-Asma al-Husna, and I don't believe that they're okay, but let me share this screen now. So we now have understood that there is this part and then there's this part. We need to understand what this word la means, because I'm going to show you how al is it just means the. It's the definite article, the book. So al-kitab, right? Rasul, messenger. Al-Rasul, right? So here we have la, and then we have Allah, right? But it's just because of the al mashduda, it would be al instead of al, right? Now, one second. Now, let me remove this and add a new screen. Let me present, stop screen, present, share screen, and we're going to go with this, right? I don't agree with all these names, but we have them right here. So you'll see al. And notice how it starts with Sila. So whoever asked about the question earlier about Allah and Illah, hey, what's going on? There we go. So this is Al-Rahman. But because it's a Ra, would say Ar-Rahman. But that's only if there's something before it, like a word, right? Huwa Ar-Rahman. Then that's when this Al would disappear. But because it's just the word Ar-Rahman, we wouldn't say Ar-Rahman, we would say Al-Rahman, right? Here, which means the most merciful, right? We can go Al-Qaddus, right? The absolutely pure or the sanctified. Al-Malik, Al-Malik, the king. And notice how they all have Al at the beginning. They all have Al at the beginning, because we are defining who the name, the attribute is. Now, and then the final one, which I guess they don't want to write here, is Allah, right? Allah is Allah. Now, let's go to the word Ilah, which I'm going to pull up from the word corpus. And we're going to see if we can find it easy. Yes, we can. SubhanAllah. So beautiful to see God's name constantly. Okay. Now, share this tab. If you could see here, we have the root alif lam ha, right? Which is ilah. Ilah is deity, right? So, la ilaha illallah, right? There is no deity except the la. So I'm going to Arabic, okay? And then we have the word from the same root, Allah, which they're using it, and they're keeping the al-tarif or Allahumma. But we've already explained to you that the first two letters are not part of the name. And you could go to many verses where it says, Lillahil hamd, right? To God is the praise. And they completely remove this part of this letter here. Maybe I can find it. قالوا إلهك. So this is where it's being used as deity, ilah. It's not Allah, it's God, right? Ilah, a God, a deity. And now I'm going to say, Alhamdulillah, Allah, 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 mashallah. Come on, please make it easy, God. It's going to be a little later. This is all from Surah Al-Baqarah. اتخذ الله. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to find an example where there it is. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So if you notice here, right, it's lillah. There's no alif. The alif disappeared. So I am proving it to you another time that the alif is not part of the name. In the version right here, lillahil hamd. So Allah is sharing the same root as deity. So for me, there is no deity, there are no deities except the God. Because now the God is for me the essence of the creator, right? There are people that say like this is a God, he's a God, they're a God, and all this nonsense, this polytheism and idolatry, but it's the same thing in Arabic. So as God says, لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا عِيسَى هُوَ اللَّهُ. The people who said that Jesus is the God, they're the liars. So this is why I say the word God and not Allah, because the word Allah does not have a meaning in English. It has no definition in English. If I am introducing my religion to a person who has never heard Arabic, I have to use the words that that person will understand. I say that I am a submitter to the God. The God is the entity that created these seven skies and the land. My God is infinite and is the most dominant. So there is no deity with the God that can create. Everyone else who claims that there are multiple deities that do not fulfill the role of infinity and dominance, those entities are not gods. They are not deities. So this is how that's why I say, I say God and not Allah. Thank you, JS. Right, but in Arabic, imagine me speak, exactly, this is a very good point. Imagine me speaking in Arabic to somebody and I go, أنا ديني السبمتر, لا أنا ديني submission, والرب الذي أعبده هو the God. It just doesn't, it's not proper communication. So this is what people do in English. Oh, my religion is Islam, and the Lord that I praise and the Lord that I serve is Allah. Like the person's looking, okay, what's Islam? What's Allah? These are not English words. Explain yourself, right? So it cuts that part. All right, I'm going to go back. I'm sorry, I'm missing so many comments. It's Muhammad, do you love the Prophet more than your parents? Yes, I do love all the prophets more than my parents. Hey, Zach, do you love Jesus more than Moses? Do you love Jesus more than Moses? He's going to say no. Yeah, I am worried about that ghost. They're telling me about ghosts. I'm worried that ghost is telling me that I need to love Muhammad more than Jesus. So, hey, Zach, do you love Muhammad more than Abraham? Bro, these people. Can you explain Jannah? Because I have taught what Jannah is. Okay, Jannah is a garden. Jannah literally means garden. So it's a world that is going to be similar to this world. As God says, he's going to begin creation and he's going to repeat it. And there's things that are going to be similar, especially with the fruits. And there's going to be a different system. But God also says in chapter 36, وَهُمْ فِي شُغْلٍ فَاكِهُونَ, and they are in a very fruitful occupation. So we still get to work in heaven, but we're still serving our Lord. We still get to build cities, and we still get to explore and put things together. Like it might occur to you, you see this huge big ocean. I love this example because I would love to do this. This huge ocean in front of you, this huge sea, and the sea you could drink, and it's so tasteful, and there's no dirt in it or nothing. It's this beautiful sea. So you built this boat. It takes you a few hours. You build a boat from what God is showing you around you. And then while you're building the boat, you meet this beautiful girl. So you marry her on the spot. And then you and this beautiful girl, you jump on this boat, and then you sail for 1,000 years over this amazing water, and you're having this amazing time. As you're sailing, you get to the other side of this river or sea that you're sailing, and then you see this plant that is being grown in these people that have a different way of building things, but they have this amazing fruit that you like, but you want to give it to the people that where you met 1,000 years ago. So you take a few boxes of it, and it doesn't rot and it doesn't go bad, and then you fly back to where you were in like 10 minutes, and then you go back to these people that you used to interact and you loved a lot, and you throw a box to your mom, you throw a box to Abraham, you throw a box to Prophet Muhammad. It's like, hey, look at these amazing fruits. And then you still build things in heaven in the name of God. I want to build a big building, put the name of God on top of it, because that's what I enjoyed doing in the world. I was a person who loved working. God made me a human being for me to work. I'm going to go to heaven, I'm going to work. But guess what? No one's going to lie to me. No one's going to be robbing me. No one's going to be deceiving me. No one's going to be bombing me. No one's going to be stealing from me. No one's going to sit there and make these contracts to try to steal from me. It's going to be an amazing thing that we keep building for God forever. Because God says the heaven is as big as the skies in the land. Like, look how big the sky is. Like, it's going to take 1 billion years to try to get from one side of heaven to the other. But we get to live forever and we keep building. So God can bless you with a chicken. Let's say we name this chicken Bob, right? So you have Bob. Bob follows you around everywhere you go. It's the little pet chicken. You're walking around, got your pet chicken Bob, and you feel hungry. So Bob just comes in front of you, right? You take Bob, chop his head off while you're thanking God. You say the name of God on him. You cook Bob. You eat Bob. And as soon as you eat the last bite of Bob and you're full, somehow you dispose of the bones, you see Bob come around from the corner again. Oh, it's Bob again. He's walking next to you. It's another little exact same chicken. Nothing changed. Because God says that whatever you're given in heaven, it never goes away. It's always there. It never breaks. It never goes. So you just eat your buddy Bob, Bob the chicken, and then he just pops back up. It's walking next to you. And then you have all of these people that you keep meeting. And you guys keep building these things and ideas. We can just have an idea that, like, hey, let's have a race. Let's build these things that fly around, and we'll make this really long course, and we're just having this amazing, great time while we're still connected to God, and we're just loving God. Because every opportunity, every moment is bliss and happiness and laughing and joy. So isn't it worth this little pain that we have to go for this 80 years, 100 years, for us to literally feel this bliss of this place that we get to explore forever and build forever and discover all sorts of things? Maybe we can ask God to make Pokemon a real thing in heaven. We go around collecting these animals and then we go battle them. It's heaven, man. في لحظ المحفوظ. Okay, so in 85, 82, the book itself is in a preserved tablet. So nothing can change it, nothing can add it, right? That's like the simple things. I do have to go, guys. I am tired. I want to go back down to the bottom. Bingo. Exactly. Love that. Anyone who tells you yes has no idea what the Quran says. The believers are always asking God to save us from the punishment of hell. Because, anyways, man, talking to you is not very helpful. It's not close. God says he's going to destroy it all and he's going to build heaven in front of you. You're going to see heaven being created in front of you. You're going to see fire getting enlightened in front of you. You're going to see it. You're going to witness the creation of heaven. So the heaven doesn't exist. This is wrong. Both are wrong. All right, guys. On to next week. And thank you very much for coming by. Thank you for your patience. I apologize about last week. Last week I was a little bit, I was in a situation. I do want to say something, okay? And actually, you know what? I can't say it. I mean, it's not, right now the events are a little difficult. But I really wish for Lebanon to get back to peace and the countries around this area. But no, there is literally one solution. I cannot find any other solution. You have to deal with Zionism. You have to get rid of Zionism. You have to ban Zionism. Just like, like how entrenched was the Nazi Party in Germany before World War II and during World War II? Would anybody believe, like a few years before World War II, that the Nazi Party would disappear? That it would be banned outright, that it would be a taboo to talk about? No one did. But it is. This is exactly what happened. It's something that's frowned upon. It's something that's disgusted by a lot of people. Like the Nazi Party is not something that we're allowed to really even encourage or support or talk about in any way, shape, or form. This is a must for the Zionist regime. This is a must for the Zionist Party and the Zionist mentality. It is such an evil, corruptive, racist, evil, satanic mentality that outright needs to be banned. Any person who wholeheartedly subscribes to an idea that you are God's chosen people and that you are better than everybody else, and then you have the right to cause genocide and to kill everybody, and thinking that this is what God has outlined to you, this is the one of the worst forms of literally association and shirk. You have attributed everything that is we consider evil and unholy to God. Mass murder, suicide, executions and things that are not good, genocide, mass rape, apartheid, kicking people out of their homes. All of these are against God and what God has ordered. And for you to sit and think that you're God's chosen people, may God damn that kind of mentality and ruin them. And I think they're on the way out. All right. Sorry, Vid. I will. Let me see. Peace, Mo. Let me see, Sister Asma. I did answer a few Asma's questions. If I see one more. Okay, Muhammad, what's the difference between zakat and sadaqah? Sadaqah is, okay, so all zakat is a sadaqah, but not every sadaqah is a zakat, okay? Correct me if I'm wrong, Sister Yara, or anyone else. But every zakat is a sadaqah, but not every sadaqah is a zakat. So zakat is forced that you have to give when you get something from God or from your trade. Okay, so and there's a specific people that are capable of receiving zakat, while sadaqah is your zakat, and also there are moments where God tells you have to give. Right, so if someone comes in the middle of the street and you could see that they're a poor person and they ask you for money, wasail, you should. Wal mahroom, someone who is like they don't have much in life, you should give them as well. Well, asra, so people who are in prison, people who are there's a few conditions for what sadaqat is, but the word sadaqat comes from the word sadaqah, right? Which means that you are confirming your religion to God by this act of giving and helping. It's not necessary for it to be sadaqah does not necessitate for it to be just money. Obviously, it could be many things, right? But also, by the way, fighting is a form of sadaqah, just so you know, because this is sadaqallahu wa rasuluh. So I am believing what they're telling me when there's going to be enemies in me fighting. This is a form of doing a sadaqah, and finally giving your time to God is a form of sadaqah. Your sadaqah is believing what you've been given, right? But the basic understanding, the shallow understanding, the root understanding, the very basic principle of sadaqah is to give from what you have been given. Okay? Someone correct me if I was wrong. Salah is sharing access. Oh, Sulaiman. What's up, brother? Zakah. Zakah is the, yes, sharing. I wouldn't necessarily saying that it's excess money. It's when you're given, you have to give. Like this is right at the beginning. And I believe you're supposed to give that portion when you're first given. But you are correct. You are correct in a sense where like you can't strain yourself. So that's why there is no set percentage. If you could give 20% and you're capable of still maintaining everything that you need to do and helping, like paying the people that you are taking care of and running your business, and you're capable of giving 20%, that's an awesome blessing from God that you're capable of doing so. But if you're only capable of giving 1% in this moment, just because you're under a lot of stress for bills and payments, that's what you have to give. Yeah. Our source is the Quran, so that's where it is. All right, guys. Man, I'm really happy I got to see you, Abu Sulaiman. Where are you, my brother? Thank you. SubhanAllah. Yeah, man. Thank you for stopping by again. Allah hayik. Yes, we should. Correct. There is. Thank you, sister. That's not how salah works. It's not a step-by-step rain dance. There are steps that need to happen, but there is not a set order nor is a set way. I already answered this, brother Jam. I already answered this, but I'll answer it again. Maybe I went, but I did answer this. So here you go. So when God is saying here, right? In fact, بل هو قرآن مجيد في لوح محفوظ, right? So in fact, it is a glorious reading in a preserved tablet. So God states in many places in the Quran where he, like when a messenger is sent, there is a book, or not, messengers were sent with a book for a specified time. And then God will like erase what he wants, and then he will preserve what he wants. يَمْحِ اللَّهُ مَا يَشَاءُ وَيُثَبِّتُ, right? So God will erase what he would like, and he would solidify the things that he wants, and then that book is set for the time, but it's still an explanation to the mother book, okay? So the Quran is giving you an example. It set an example of everything that's in the mother book. It didn't tell you the whole mother book, like the exact every judgment of everything and everything on how it occurs, but it gave you an example of every single event that can overlap the mother book. So that there's some, it requires us to be, to show a little bit of knowledge and to explore the Quran to see how it fits in every example. Now here, when God's saying fi lawhin mahfuz, he's reoccurring that this book itself has been preserved. So there's nothing that is going to change it. There's nothing that is going to say it. I do believe that here it's more of a symbol rather than we're going to find it on an actual law mahfuz. Because God says, fi suhufin mutahhara. So this is in Surah Abasa, where the book is in purified pages. The AD Safara. So it's in the hands of travelers, which here it's the angels, right? Kiramin barara. They're angels, like they're like innocent, and they're innocent, I guess, with barara, and kiramin, like they're honorable barara. So God here clearly states that the Quran was in pages, but did the angels come give pages to the Prophet? No, they recited it. But so it was written on pages. But here God is telling you fi lawhin mahfuz, where it's like it's in a tablet where it has been already inscribed. To me, I find it's very more of a picture that God is painting us to the preservation of the Quran. If I put something in stone and I put it in a tablet, not much can change it. It's already been decreed. It's already been done. And this is what I believe it's being shown here. I hope I answered your question. Sister, why? I see it at the top. I haven't read it yet. But let me, man. Look at this. Oh, man. Okay, I'm not going to lose my cool. Thank you, my fellow Canadian. God bless you, sister. Thank you. May JS, we've met a few months ago, right? And you were very smart from the get-go. I've always appreciated your presence. A lot of people in like the close people in my community, they've always appreciated your presence. I really hope God gives you here and in the hereafter for you and your family, your children, your forefathers. And I hope God eases your heart with anything that you're ever going through. And you are a very, very awesome person, JS. I just wanted you to know this, and I want to tell the whole, you're a very amazing sister. And thank you very much. And as always, my sister Yetta. I love you guys. Here. Thank you, brothers. Salam, something to think about. Who's the first caller to say that prayer wasn't a step-by-step? Well, I'm telling you that prayer existed before the Prophet. Okay, so prayer is something that is a connection to God, for you to do dua to God. The word salah is dua. There are procedures that God has outlined in the Quran, and there is ways to apply it. The ways that the Shia is applied is a little differently than how the Sunnis apply. But overall, it's a very similar system. I do understand what you're trying to tell me, that people have always went through this discipline, and you're correct. From the get-go, there was a discipline that people has followed. But this is not what God has directly ordered you to do. God has ordered you to have a system, to have a discipline. Unfortunately, after 1400 years, that set system that we have been given by our forefathers and our scholars, it seems like it had been tampered with. It seems like it has been modified. So some people like to take the middle path and try to find what has been tampered, and they try to get to the original. And some others find it that it's necessary in this day and age so that we don't have to deal with this filtering process, to start fresh, to find a system where other people can join to this system and carry on with what the Prophet intended us to do. So we understand the concept of prostration, we understand the concepts of standing, the recitation, we understand that the process of glorifications and the time of the prayer, which is outlined in the Quran, which aligns to a lot of what the Sunnis and what the Shias do and what the Prophet was ordered to do in the Quran. But we, on the other hand, we measure on how correct we are is by our relationship with God, by how easy our life becomes and how connected we find ourselves with God. The Quran clearly states that it's supposed to heal our inside. So if we are people who are saying lies about God, and as God says in the Quran, who is more unjust than those who say lies about God or disregard the truth when it comes to them, and God does not guide said people. So if we're not on guidance, then how is the Quran healing us from certain things like immoralities and obscenities, which the prayer clearly states that this is what the thing the prayer helps you with? If my prayer is not correct, if my prayer is not accepted, then why is it helping me with immoralities and obscenities and things that I grew up with, especially in the West, that has always plagued the mind and it's always there? And you think that it's easy to get by or it's easy to handle, but yet it became the norm where people don't think that it's wrong anymore. But the more you dive in the Quran and the more you spend time in the prayer, which I don't see Sunnis are capable of keeping up with my prayer, specifically my prayer or my brother Musa or my brother Yera's prayer, when we prayed as a congregation, the way that we've put it on a plate and said, God, this is what we would like to give you. And God accepts from whom he wills, and God rejects from whom he wills. But we're truly, sincerely trying to follow the Quran from what we understand, despite the many lies that we have been given for our forefathers. Are all Sunni scholars liars? No. Are all Shia scholars liars? No. But they had to endure what we had to endure, which is these lies that keep getting passed down by these government systems, by these fake scholars, by these hypocrites, by these enemies that just want to sit and divide the people in whatever discipline and the way that they wanted to set up their community. Us, on the other hand, we just don't want to deal with it. We just want to go with what the book is saying and try to set up a community from start. But we already perceive that whatever happened with the Sunnis, whatever happened to the Shia, will eventually happen to us because this is how the human being is. But we do truly trust the book of God, and we do decide that it's enough. We're not starting a new religion. We're going back to the religion of Abraham. We're going back to the religion of Adam, Moses, Jesus, Noah, and our blessed Prophet Muhammad. We're following our blessed Prophet, and we're doing what we believe is right. And on the day of judgment, our differences are going to be settled. But to think that I'm not praying to my Lord just because I don't follow the same procedure that you do, well, I am capable of standing next to you and praying next to you. But for some reason, you have a problem standing next to me just because I pray a little differently. I think one has more merit with God than the other. I think you understand what I'm saying, and I love you so much, Brother Farid. I hope he heard the answer. I don't know if he heard me. Assalamu alaikum. What do you think about the Quranic centric community that I said? That's to each to their own. I take an approach where it's where I want to prove to the world that it's not required. It is not required. Is it nice to have? Yes. Some of the stuff they wrote make things easier. It's people explaining to you what they understood from the Quran. Some people attribute it to the Prophet. I don't believe so. I can't prove that. But is it necessary? Absolutely not. The only thing that you're going to be answered with is asked about is what God has given you, which is the Quran. I love Farid. Farid's awesome, man. If all Sunnis were like Farid, Yes, it's based. So yes, the steps are based upon your imam. There is a point when the Prophet was the imam and people followed through. There are hadiths that shows like from Muwatta Malik where the grandfather of Malik, right? I can pull up the hadith. I understand. Look, Farid, I understand how these usually work. There are scholars to tell you what the hadith is saying because you can't take it for face value. But if you take it for face value, you realize that even at the beginning, at the very beginning, and this is Muwatta Malik, and you're very, for me, you're a scholar. I understand you guys have a different way of understanding what scholars are, but you've spent so much time with the resources around you that you're capable of understanding what the message of God is and how your religion evolved to where it is today. And I'm talking about the sect of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. But there is something here that I want to share with you from Muwatta Malik, and this is his grandfather, right? Good night, brother, and thank you. May God bless you here in the world and the hereafter for you and your family and all the people that want to get close to God. Thank you very much, brother. I really appreciate it. Okay, Farid. So this is the hadith I want to show you. So Yahya related to me from Malik, from his paternal uncle, Abu Suhail ibn Malik, is that his uncle's father said. So this would technically be, so his parental uncle, the father of his paternal uncle, which would be his grandfather. His grandfather, Malik's grandfather, would be a Sahaba, right? So he would have been around the Prophet and the people of the Prophet. And he says, I recognize nothing nowadays of what I saw the people, the companions of the messengers, may God bless him and grant him peace, doing except the call of prayer, right? So yes, it is a very short hadith, and usually this is the thing about hadith. إنه قال ما أعرف شيئا مما أدركت عليه الناس إلا النداء بالصلاة. So he's saying that there's a lot of things that have changed that he no longer recognizes other than the call of prayer. So this is a Sahaba within 2-3 generations. He's saying there's been changes. So we recognize that there's been changes. I don't perceive the Prophet saying, "Wassalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi" in his prayer, or "Assalamu alayya" in his prayer. I don't see that, nor is there evidence of that saying in the hadith books earlier. But now this is a fard in the salah. This is something that's obligated when you're completing your prayer or every second prayer. So these are things where we have to understand where they came from. But is prostrating part of the prayer? Yeah, you could see that in all Abrahamic communities. Is staining part of the prayer? You could see that in all the Abrahamic communities. Is reciting the book part of the prayer? You could see that in all the Abrahamic communities. So the steps are outlined in the Quran. The way that they're done as a congregation is based upon the Imam. Thank you for stopping by, bro. Wallah, I love you, Farid. Yes, of course. The Prophet is an Imam. He is an Imam during his time, and then there's Imams after him. The Imams after him are the ones I don't trust. I'm not talking about Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali. I'm not talking about them. We don't have much to really go by other than what people said later about them. Yes, there is a finesse to see the liar from the person who's talking the truth, but you only get a snapshot. But the question still remains, is it required? Is it something that is required for you to become religious and to get close to God? Guys, don't attack Farid. Farid is really good. I'll tell you, like, okay, so people sometimes ask me, like, oh, why are you so nice? Or why do you say nice thing about Farid? Does not agree with us at all. Like Farid, to him, this is a very alien, and it's almost like like there is animosity. It's very clear, but he does not show animosity. Farid still sticks to the content. He still sticks to the word. He's trying to argue in a way to prove his position without having to go into like the whole fatwa of who we are. Every time I had to deal with a Sunni, when we're talking, they always want to give me fatwas, okay, about kufr, murtad, all of this weird stuff that they want to place that God has not ordered. Why? Because scholars said so. Scholars said so. But Farid, like he would sit with a Shia, he knows that in his mind, the judgment of this person to him is a Rafida. Okay, he's a rejecter. Okay, so he is worthy of a punishment if God wants to punish him. But that's not the angle Farid takes. Farid goes, okay, like bring the books, bring the history, talk. Okay, maybe we can find an agreement, and then later he'll go make a video if he sees that it's fit. And that's how he always approached the matters with me. So he's always shown a side of like of an intellectual side, because to me it shows that Farid is like Allah hasbu, not me. Like, you know, and this is why I like talking with Farid. I can't talk on Farid's end, but this is how I appreciate. Maybe Farid left because Farid does this. He comes like pokes a person and then he goes, all right, peace. Anyways, guys, can you debunk the Dajjal? Dajjal is always present. I mean, when Adam was created, Iblis fought him. They were both put down on earth. Who's the Dajjal? Iblis. Iblis is the Dajjal. Iblis is clearly, the word Dajjal would fit the Iblis. Can you kill the Dajjal? No. Why? Because he has a promise to the day of judgment. He's going to be around until the day of judgment. When the day of judgment occurs, okay, that's when he's going to be pushed to hell. And I mean, like when the hour occurs, he's going to be destroyed, right? He's going to be destroyed, as God says that he's going to destroy everything except his face. And then he's going to be driven to hell. To say that you're going to kill the Dajjal on earth, you're not going to be doing that. Farid, that's the thing. I don't sense arrogance from Farid. When you're talking to Farid, I don't sense arrogance. I really don't sense arrogance. If anyone wants, like for me, if anyone is asking me about Sunnism, he's just done with, I say go talk to Farid. Go look at Farid. I have to stand the prayer too, sister. Yes, you're very right. What do you think about early Khawarij in the last Muhakkima, the Ibadi school? This is a very good example of technically Hadith rejectors, okay? But you can't use the example of Khawarij with the Sunnis, because to them they'll be like, oh, you're comparing yourself to the Dezians of hell and the hellhounds and all of this, because they don't want to understand the concept of Khawarij. But to us, it's not a political manner. The Khawarij is entrenched in politicalism. But if anything, we're closer to a certain form of Mu'tazilites, which was also in earlier Islam. All right, guys, I really have to go. I've said peace like 3 times. I was supposed to leave an hour ago, an hour and 10 ago. Thank you very much, brother. I really appreciate you, man. Hamza, let me just put it here. I hope you didn't leave yet. This is the second time you donated here. Good night, my good brother. It seems like you've been around a lot as well. You've helped me in the drive earlier. May God accept it from you. Thank you very much again. Your money honestly goes, anyone who's donating, your money is going through striving. I don't have a family. I don't have kids. I mean, I'm not married. I don't buy things. Armor Wolf, my good brother, Mr. Wolf. How long have I had this little hoodie? How long have you seen me wear this hoodie? Okay, so that's how much I purchase new things, and I'll wait for Armor to tell you guys. I don't expediate. And how long have you met me? I've had this for maybe now 3 years, 4 years, right? And I recently bought a second one. Okay, and my whole, I'll show you my whole belongings, everything that I like usually use. I do have a little bit for mute. I have a few other stuff only for recording and for YouTube, but I will show you everything I have. Everything I own fits in this bag. That's it. Okay. My whole life can be fit, like my whole belongings can fit in a single backpack of what I need. And that's been my life for the last 4 or 5 years. So I don't use the money in ways of like me like having brother, thank you. I have been offline for a week. I was going through a lot of things. I've seen your I've seen your email. I've seen a lot of emails. I got a lot of emails I was going to go through. I'm glad that you messaged me here. Thank you very much, my good brother, for you checking in on me. If you look at earlier in the stream, I had some things I had to do. Brother Adam, God bless you. I hope not. But for me, I don't have I don't have like the desire to buy like things and stuff. As long as I look clean, as long as I can get my head shaved, as long as I can keep my beard nice, it's all that really matters to me. As long as I'm presentable. But I want everything in the hereafter, not here. And God gives you what you want. All right, guys. Thank you very much. God bless you. Inshallah. Let me know when we find you. Thank you, my good brother. Okay, assalamu alaikum. God bless you.